with that?
You get what I mean?
I knew it. Welcome. Welcome back, you guys. This is the Jas Chronicles here at the Blue Sky Radio, and we're here with Vincent Victoria Presents and the lovely Earthas that will be cast in the Disappearing of Eartha Kitt coming soon. Coming soon.
Coming soon. Yeah, we were talking about how great a playwright this is. Like, my parents are just like, oh, when's the next one?
Mine are too. My parents love me. They love Vivi's writing.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, and we all kind of came to the consensus that, no one has been able to really capture our stories and tell our stories. He tends to tell the stories that the history books leave out.
Definitely. It's like he gives you the nitty gritty, like what it felt like he makes you feel like you're in the room. Right. With the stars, and like you got to see behind the scenes. That's how I felt when I saw the Lena play. It was just like, it made you want to go know more and research. And it's just like, wow, they really was getting it back then,
So Vivi, on that line, let's talk about the early stages of Vivi.
Okay.
When did when did it happen for you that you were like, this is what I want to do? Theater, writing is what I wanted to do, because you're an actor too.
For sure, yes. Acting is my first love, and I came into writing very late, actually. Even though I think writing is my strongest gift, I don't necessarily. I prefer performing more so than I do writing. But when I was in the 10th grade, my English teacher said, "Vincent, you should write." I never wanted to write. Never, ever, ever wanted to write. But she said I should write, and I'm writing now. That's how it's out of necessity, because I can create the narratives that I want. Mm-hmm. I can tell the stories that I want to see on stage, and the stories that I like. So if somebody hasn't done them, I can do them now. Like the Josephine Baker story, tying this in with Diana Ross. Mm-hmm. Diana Ross always wanted to play Josephine Baker herself, and they were always planning, but it never went through. So I said, well, she could play Josephine Baker as an older woman. So this is really, that Josephine Baker show is really for Diana Ross. Diana Ross, if you're listening, I've written a show for you, The Last Night of Josephine Baker.
Yes.
So, but I love the stars. I grew up reading books about old movie stars from the 30s, the 20s, and that's my passion.
Excuse the pun.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's your name.
So, Trisha, yes. How long? And I'm going to ask the both of you ladies, and then I'm going to come back to you, Vivi. How long have you guys been in the business?
Oh my God! Really, Jas?
Hey,
how old are you?
Well, I'm 41.
That's how long I've been in the business. Longer, darling.
Really?
Yes.
So, how did you get involved in acting, and what has that journey been like?
In school, I was in recitals and the choirs and everything in school, but professionally, I moved to Houston and worked at a radio station in around 82.
By way of Mississippi?
Detroit.
Detroit?
I grew up in Detroit.
Okay.
But
really?
I was born in Mississippi.
Born in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's my home state, so proud Mississippi. But I grew up in Detroit and then moved here following my sister who followed the phone company. She got transferred or something. And then I started working at a radio station, and I met Thomas Melanson. I don't know if you guys know him, but he's kind of known.
I've been in a couple of his Thomas's shows. Yes, I do know Thomas.
Locally, but he's even known nationally for his touring back in the days and stuff. So I did a lot of his plays in the beginning at Kuumba House Theater, which was the name of Vincent's theater prior to it being called Midtown Art Center. Or theater, right?
Yes, He did the diver.
I was one of the alumni. I was one of the ones that started that particular theater with him.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and he wrote a lot of good plays that's kind of like why I like that house a lot, is because that's where I started.
So you have a connection there.
Yeah, and I've been other places. Like I moved to New York and tried a few things and moved back. I stayed for about 5 years and moved back here.
Oh, wow.
I actually love Houston.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Pasha, how about you?
Well, I'm just a small town girl, Actually, very similar. I started doing plays in school and junior high. I did some in college, and then I kind of went into doing film. I got a big break with the video where it was nominated for a BET Award. And then I just was like a mom, and I just did it with my kids. And it was just like, oh, I wish, I wish. And then I was like, you know what? I know it's a long drive, but I really want to get into it. So I literally just started back doing plays last year with like a education tour with the Ensemble Theater. And then I saw this, and it was like I had just missed the Eartha, and I was like searching more and more, and I was like, who is Vincent Victoria? And it was just like, bam, I got casted, and then bam, I got casted in a couple other plays, and I was like, you know what, I'm moving to Houston. So I just moved here like 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm gonna play it out, like Dayton, Texas.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Yeah, so it's like a little small town between Beaumont and Houston, about an hour from here, and so now I'm just like, huh?
You haven't looked back since.
I went to visit my mom. It was like, we have a photo with your mail in it. Ain't seen you in a long time. Like, Mom, just an hour away. So yeah, I'm really connected to my parents, and so this felt so much like family. Like, so far out of all the experience I've had in theater, this is like the most family feeling. It's like I can't wait to get back there. And even my mom's like, oh, that's such a nice, I should come in and decorate, they could put some more pictures up here. And I'm like, Mom, okay.
Well,
yeah.
You're going to have to ask Miss V. That's Miss V's.
Right. Exactly.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. Both of you ladies are very, very talented. And I know casting you guys, Vincent, what's the casting process like for you?
Well, a lot of times, once I've worked with an actor in a show, I like using them over and over again if I can. When I'm writing, I'm already pre-casting the show in my head. I say, okay, this person can play this part. I hear this person saying this part. So if I've worked with you before, you have a good chance of being another one of my shows. Sometimes I have to find new actors because some roles I just can't fill with the people that I already know. So I have to have auditions like I'm having tomorrow for my Florence Ballard show and Eartha Kitt.
Okay, you heard that auditions tomorrow for Florence Ballard and Eartha Kitt.
Yes.
So ladies, let me direct it to you, Miss Trisha. What has been the most redefining role that you've played, or what has been the most significant role or role that just made you?
Absolutely, Eartha. Because I like the idea of actually trying to be someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that's what acting is about, but I mean, an individual that's we all know. You know what I mean? Other than that, I was in a play called Harlem Grill, where I was like a recovering hooker or something. Oh, can I say that?
Yes, you can.
It was really meaty. She had a hard life. Her name was Monique, and I took Monique home with me. I tend to do that a lot. Like her accent, the accent that I came up with for her, I would talk it at home and stuff like that, and people would say, "Come out of Monique." But I loved it, but aside from that, it has to be hands down Eartha Kitt. I found that role very, very challenging.
You had a lot of lines.
I did.
A lot of transitions. You were really the narrator of the story, right, Bibi? That's
she
how
was.
You envisioned. You were narrating the life of Eartha.
And that was fun, like watching the story being told. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And from his angle, from Vincent's angle at the White House, that was a powerful scene for me.
Yeah.
And Vincent knows that.
And you weren't really in that scene.
I
That's
know.
that's
I got
the
to
other
watch
Eartha.
it.
That's right.
Eartha was
I got
in
to
that
watch
scene,
it.
actually.
Yeah.
That's 1968 Eartha's big scene.
Mm-hmm.
So
where
that would be Pasha.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
It's a really powerful scene.
So 1968 Eartha, of course, was at the White House when Lady Bird Johnson, she offended Lady Bird Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, she was blacklisted for 10 years in the
10
United
years.
States.
Right.
And he captures that very, very well. So
And I have to give shouts out to Sharita, too, because
absolutely.
Sharita and Vivi, I don't know how you guys do it. I just, play after play, I don't know how you guys do it, but the choreography with the script, the time traveling, Sharita does a phenomenal job
She does.
putting the physicality to your play.
She does. She's my right hand man, as it were.
So do you guys sit down and map it out, or
We don't. We talk it out over the phone. I'll tell her, okay, Sharita, this is my vision for this scene. This is how I want these scenes to transition, because I hate dead air on stage.
Mm-hmm.
I like my shows to move. I like constant movement. I don't. If you're changing a scene, I want there to be action in the scene change, not just stage hands coming on and changing the scene. There has to be a story within the scene changes. I don't like dead air on stage, so I incorporate parts of the show in the scene changes. And Sharita Judson is the person who makes that all come to life for me on stage.
when she does, I don't know how
I
does it
know.
quickly.
And Vincent
Yes.
Victoria actually gives her that credit because he always says he's not going to do it without her. So
Exactly, for sure.
Yeah,
I could not
she's
do my shows
phenomenal.
without her.
I've heard him say that many times.
Phenomenal.
It's just genius work.
Yes.
So I'm going to direct the same question, Miss Pasha. What has been one of the most significant roles, or even challenging roles, that you've had to play in your acting career?
Actually, it probably was in college where I played it was a play called Five Women Wearing the Same Dress. And it was like a lot of bridesmaids, and I don't know, I always found myself in these drunk, slutty roles.
I like those.
But, it's just
Wow.
like I was, and then I found myself like 10 years later playing a similar role. And, I was like, well, it just was very, like with the substance abuse and the, it's like you gotta, playing these roles, but it's like you gotta take your mind out of that. Like I did like something spooky this weekend. It was a little short. And I found myself feeling kind of depressed. I'm like, I'm not doing no more dark movies.
Well, I've heard that about, method actors when they lose themselves in the character. For example, Killmonger in Black Panther, he had to get therapy because
I didn't know that.
yeah, he had to get therapy because, and I read that because he couldn't let go of the character. And that also happened with the character who played in Batman, where he committed suicide. He could not get out of I can't even remember his name, but he couldn't get out of the character.
The Phoenix, what's his name? Something Phoenix?
Not River Phoenix.
Not River.
No. And that's
I totally,
crazy.
it is. It's almost like
Keith Ledger.
Yeah,
Keith Ledger. Him.
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger.
Yeah. Heath Ledger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's crazy how like you, in order to make it believable, you have to become it. And then it's just like, which was crazy because right after I played Eartha, everywhere I went, people was like, "You remind me of Eartha. You did this Eartha." And I'm like, ain't nobody ever told me that. It was almost like she was with me. It was so weird because like I went on vacation, like I did some filming, and even in the film there was like, you remind me so much of Eartha. Complete strangers on my Instagram who never knew I was in, and I was like, almost like I took some of her with me or something, and I was like, okay, we about to really see what it's about.
You channeled her.
Also,
Yes.
you played Eartha before?
I played her, but it's a silent role, and I just was like
She sure
on
did.
the Martin Luther King. No, not
did.
Martin Luther King. The
Lena Horne show. She sure did. She did
Lena
play her.
Horne.
She sure did.
I just walked out as her, and I
She sure
stood
did.
there
Okay.
because
And
I
the
was like
March
the
on Washington.
ensemble.
Wow.
In the March on Washington, yes. And right after that, it was just like everywhere I went, it was like
You were
Eartha. Yeah. And I was like,
Typecast.
I channeled her. I really feel like I did.
But that's what that's awesome. So is
That was difficult to do too, channeling her.
wow.
Yeah.
You have to break
but
free.
By contrast, I actually like to stay there throughout the run in her. So I kind of did that with her too.
So how deep? What is that process like? And I'll ask you, Vivi, because you also act. And when
Oh, he
Vivi's on
plays a great Jeffrey Holder.
Jeffrey Holder.
I should have played that in the show. Yes, the great the great Jeffrey Holder.
Who brought Eartha back?
Yes,
The
he was
voice and everything.
Yes.
Really?
He's the one who brought Eartha back on the scene.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we'll do this collectively.
Sure.
How did you get into character? Because I know Vivi, I've watched you, and when Vivi gets ready to perform, zoned out.
Yeah.
He's thinking about the entrance. He's big on entrances. He'll tell you.
very much so.
Vivi's big on entrances. So how do you prepare to get into character? What is that process like, Vivi, for you?
For me, it's falling in love with the character. Let me go back to as being a writer with falling in love with these ladies. I literally sleep with these ladies. I go to bed with Florence Ballard, listening to Florence Ballard in my head. I'll put on a video of Florence Ballard or Eartha Kitt. I really do sleep with these people so I can really get in their mind, hear their voices. I have to hear their voice. I have to hear how Florence sound. Once I hear how they sound, then I can write for them. I hear, if I listen to old interviews, I hear her cadences. I hear how she would say things. And when I write, I say, well, if I write a line, I say, she wouldn't say that, so I'll have to change the line. She wouldn't say it like that, or she wouldn't. That would be another person's line. Mary would say that, or Diana would say that, but not Florence. Florence wouldn't say that. So when I'm playing a character, the same process, like an historical character like Jeffrey Holder, listening to his voice, looking how he moved. That's how I get into character.
What about you, Pasha?
For me, it was the movement. It's like my background is in dance, and so it was just like a different type of dance, and it was almost like I was learning a new technique, and that technique allowed me to, mimic her movements, because it's like once you learn like some of the technique and you walk on, you're like, okay, well, I'd have my foot pointed this way in this technique, and because if that's what she studied, then that's, what her body movements are. And so that's like the foundation for me.
So yours is more movement, body language, body movement.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And
darling. For me, yes, darling. For me, it's like Vincent said, as far as getting into the head of the character, I have to know her that way. And I do a lot of research.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled up a whole lot of tapes. I read a whole lot of stories. Even Vincent would send me stuff to study. Mm-hmm. I studied for the whole prep time up until the day that we performed that very first time. I was still trying to get her. And for some reason, she came together that night. And he told me that. He told me that.
Night.
Yeah, all of a sudden, she was there. She appeared. And that's what has to happen for me as a character. I'm no longer Passion. I had to have been Eartha for me in order to pull her off. That's where the accent came from.
The laugh.
Everything.
It's striking.
Yeah,
resemblance to the laugh and the voice.
So, and I actually enjoyed being there,
Yeah.
I envied her a lot and stuff like that. And so,
I felt that way too. Yeah, it's like I was studying her and I just started feeling like for a second, like I was judging. It's like I knew. So I said, she would have did this and she would have thought this way. Mm-hmm. And I know what she was really thinking when she was dancing in front of him. Like, I really know. And I was like, and this is like, well, you got to become that, and it's just like,
you have to.
And then you can, like when you notice how many times they had a drink in their hand, or just when you listen to the lyrics of their music and you just like, hold up, that sounds like some of this was going on, and you be like, well, you have to embody that too. Yeah. Yes. And so
it's a lot of stuff.
I can't wait to actually speak for her.
At first I couldn't even do the little, and I was called on it, of course. Sharita.
Oh yeah,
right.
Rita will call you, definitely call you out.
One day I came in there and I was able to do it, and Victor said, I keep saying Victor. Vincent said, "Oh, you haven't?" I said, "Yeah, I've been studying."
You better come prepared, because Vivi's gonna be nice about it. Sharita's not gonna be so nice.
No.
Until right, yeah. So,
but I like her energy as well.
It's a balance.
It makes that whole room. She makes that whole room feel the presence of her. Mm-hmm. And you can feel her her contributions to whatever it is he's doing. Everybody thinks that about her.
Oh, she's a major
Yeah.
contributor to my
It's a
work.
beautiful
major,
blend.
Major.
Beautiful
Yeah,
blend.
yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
Wow.
So,
That's love it. So, to all of those potential actors and actresses out there, note that the job is not easy.
it is not.
It's not easy.
It's not.
And
The easiest part to me is memorizing the lines.
sometimes that's hard, depending on how many lines you get.
Right? Well, yeah, there's that.
So, Vivi, as a director, pointers, like, what advice would you give someone who's starting out as an actor, walking into an audition? What advice would you give? What do you guys look for?
What I look for is energy. That energy, when that little spark when you walk into the room. Passion about even if you're singing the song off key, if you have passion about it, and I can see that you're enjoying yourself, that's what attracts me to an actor. The love of performing. So you can tell that immediately if somebody loves what they and their confidence as well. If you're confident when you walk into the room, like you said, I'm big on entrances. The entrance starts the audition starts when you enter the room. That's when it starts. So I'm looking at all of those things. And also, now I do like giving people a chance as well. If you've always wanted to act and you haven't had the chance because of circumstances in your lives, I like giving you a chance to be on stage, letting you shine on stage where you may not have had a chance before, because there are not that many opportunities for people of color in the city to act. So I like
Absolutely.
giving people that chance.
And so I would say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because you gave me a chance.
Yeah.
And
All of us.
I definitely.
And you're a very good actress too, I might say.
Well, let me just say, me starting out, I think I scared Vivi.
Really?
He gave me my first role.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
And
I
that
know it was your first role, really.
that was
He said he didn't know that.
my very, very first role in theater.
Awesome.
And you played Josephine Baker. That
And
was a
That
major
was
role.
Josephine?
Josephine Baker. That was my
Wow.
I
very
didn't know
first.
that. You couldn't tell it by
Role.
her acting.
No, not at all.
Right?
And it was scary because of the pressure, that being my first play, and because of who Josephine was. I grew up watching Josephine, and I loved her.
Yeah.
The 1990 Lynn Whitfield version made me fall in love with the Josephine
that was a good
story.
one, too.
And incredible iconic diva,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
you know, who very profound. And like Vincent, all of his plays, the iconic divas, they have a story
I love
that is never really told in the history books.
Right.
And so I can appreciate your writing. And thank you, Vivi, for telling those black stories. Thank you.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
And let me just say now, I mostly write about women, but there are a few men that I've written about, like Booker T. Washington,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, you
Yes.
remember that.
which now I just have to give a plug. It was selected to be at the National Black Theater Festival this past
Yes.
July, and we went, and Jasmine went as well.
There's
and,
more.
And
The awards.
the award for sure. We were nominated for Broadway World Awards, and Jasmine won Best Actress as Josephine
Yes.
Baker. So, but Booker T. Washington was one of the rare instances where I've written about a male lead, and so that was very rewarding as well.
So what was fascinating about that story? Because was that the only play that you've written about the male perspective?
Only one where it's a known male. There was another show that I'd written called Block Shadia about the first African American girly magazine, and the leads of that were men as well, two African American men who started the first African American girly magazine in the 1950s. So only really two. Most of my shows are centered around females.
Well, we're gonna talk about that because I want to know We'll be back with that. All right, again, no spoilers. Again, you're listening to the Jas Chronicles here at the Blue Sky Radio, the internationally syndicated radio show where Jas is the host, the on-air radio personality here, and I'm here with Miss Trisha Duncan, Eartha. Come back, Eartha.
Yes.
Can you give us a little Eartha?
And when we come back.
Okay, she has to channel her, and of course, Vincent Victoria, VV, and Miss Pasha Anjal.
I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, so happy.
Giving me Eartha. We'll be right back after this.